It's the Metro on WDET. I'm Robin Vincent. We begin in Shirley Brezzell's classroom. She didn't plan to become a teacher, but after a stint as a banker and after homeschooling her children, she dived into the profession. Today, Brezzell is being honored by a state organization for her work teaching science at Detroit's Mackenzie Elementary Middle School. One of her most striking accomplishments is getting students to engage in a garden to learn healthy eating habits. She's retiring in the fall at a moment when thousands of Michigan teachers are leaving the profession, and the state is struggling to replace them. So we wanted to speak with the science and social studies teacher about what she's learned as an educator and the advice she has for new teachers and parents. Shirley Brezzell, welcome to the Metro.
Good morning.
Good morning. So as I mentioned, this was an unlikely path because you began your career in banking.
Absolutely.
Why did you change careers?
The bank closed.
Oh, okay. So this was a moment of
Yes.
what do I do next?
Right. Remember National Bank of Detroit?
Yes. Okay.
Yes, I was. I started in '76. Teller, item check processing, repossessed cars as a bill collector for a little while, and then wound up in retail banking, operations manager. And then we were taken over and our job was eliminated, and I went home and homeschooled.
Okay. So you went home and homeschooled first, and that then kind of seemed to set a path for you toward teaching. What did homeschooling your kids teach you about teaching?
The wonder of it. Our oldest daughter is Clarissa, and when she began to read, I was like, oh my God, I can actually do this. And then after I homeschooled for 2 years, I told my husband one day, they've got to go somewhere, but they got to get out of here. For religious reasons, we put them in a parochial school, and we needed tuition money. So I started subbing, and that was it. I was just taken. It was just wonderful to watch the kids. My first substitute position was a long-term position, and it was just absolutely wonderful.
So it was more of that wonder that you first saw when you were teaching your own kids.
Yes.
It was that light bulb moment.
Yes.
But a light bulb moment not only for your kids, but for you too, because you saw you can be the one to turn that light bulb on.
Yeah. So I subbed for several years. I was a read teacher, a parapro, all of that. And then I went over, I was in Romulus schools, and the principal said to me, if you're going to teach this hard as a sub, go get your teaching certificate. So I did.
Okay, what does that mean if you're going to teach this hard? What were you doing at the time? Like, paint us the picture of what teaching was like in that moment when you are going through, for substitute teachers, you're walking into a brand new world all the time. And that is hard work. That's harder than if you're a teacher who has the same class for an entire year.
Yeah, so subs are really high-paid babysitters, just go in there and please keep them from killing each other. But I actually would look at the teacher's lesson plan, and we had class every day. So, even now, I'm sure somebody's listening going, oh, God, she's going to holler when I get back to class. And my sub has not done what I asked her to do. But, yeah.
Because there's someone subbing for you right now so you can be here today.
Exactly.
Okay, so for subs, it's like, for a substitute teacher, it's like going to war. How can I keep the peace?
Absolutely.
But you saw it as something different. You saw every classroom that you walked into as a challenge. How can I connect with these students in a very short period of time?
Right. How can we actually get this lesson? Because there still has to be a continuum of the learning. if the teacher has taken the time, the teacher is following the curriculum. She's on a pacing guide, all of that.
Yeah.
She's only going to be gone one day. Why should she have to reteach all of that the next day? So you go into the classroom, you get that lesson plan, and you go. And actually, the day is easier if you follow the lesson plan. It's just easier. So, but I loved it. I loved it. I spent a lot of time in Romulus, and then I went to National Heritage Academies as a para. And from there, I finished getting my teaching certificate, cut my teeth there, and then went to Detroit.
It sounds like a really rigorous process to become a teacher, and it's why there are a lot of advocates working right now to make it easier. What would you say, the hardest thing about becoming a teacher? I mean, it was 2011 when you got your certification. Mm-hmm. My mom's a former educator, and she talks about student teaching like, oh, this was some hard work.
The hardest part for me, and this is what I tell new teachers, you don't become a teacher until they hand you a key and 30 kids and put you in that room. That's when you become a teacher. That's when you learn your stride. That's when you learn what your strengths and weaknesses are. I can teach reading and science and social studies all day. Math, you don't want me teaching your kids math. Okay, so
You're not a numbers person.
No,
the former banker is not a numbers person.
No,
okay.
No, not okay. Because knowing numbers and teaching people to think about numbers are two totally different things.
Hard.
But you learn to be a teacher when you actually have a classroom. Okay, and one of the things that Sam and I talked about was
Sam Corey,
Yes.
our wonderful producer on the Metro here, who's listening intently in the other room and smiling and yes, go on.
Okay, so one of the things he said, ask me was, what advice would you give a new teacher? And the advice I would give her is, you got to know classroom management before you can teach anything. You have to connect with the kids. You have to set what expectations are in your classroom, and you have to remember that you're not their friend. You're the only adult in the room, and in some school districts, on some days, you're actually responsible for their very lives.
You went into teaching later in life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, I mean, from what you're telling me right now, it takes a person who has some life experience, a person who has spent time around kids to have this kind of understanding of what kids need in the classroom. Like, it sounds to me like you were able to walk into the classroom with a breadth of knowledge and experience that really aided you as a teacher.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Having raised my own kids, scouting, I did Pathfinder scouting for 13 years, with our kids. But because we don't want to cross out the brand new teacher coming out of college.
No, we want them to, right?
But it's the classroom management, and you learn how to do that with your kids. If I had anything to say about education programs, teacher preparation programs, I would have them spend more time in a real classroom learning classroom management.
And when you say classroom management, you're talking about being able to respond to a lot of different personalities, mm-hmm. a lot of different behaviors and learning styles mm-hmm. in the moment, mm-hmm. keep kids calm and focused. How do you do that?
I don't know how to explain it to you. It just is. It's my classroom. It just is.
You take ownership of it.
This is my standards are at the ceiling, and children will do what you expect. So when you come into Mrs. Brezzell's classroom, I expect you to come and sit here. I expect you to be prepared. I expect you to engage in this. I'm not here to entertain you. We're going to learn this this content. We are going to do this.
So you set the expectations high, and you believe that because you set that bar high, children will rise to the occasion.
Absolutely, they will. Absolutely.
This job has changed, though, because the world has changed dramatically. I mean, again, you got your certification in 2011. What does the job feel like now compared to then? Like, what's the single biggest thing that's harder?
Well, when I began, because I actually started in education in 98, it just took forever for me to go on and get certified. I like to explain it by saying that education is a three-legged stool. The school, the parents, the students. In 98, actually only since COVID, okay? So up to that time, they worked as a unit. Everybody had some type of accountability, okay? If I send home homework, I'm sure that the parents are going to help the child do it or require that they do it. If Johnny gets in trouble and I call Johnny's mother, we're going to work together. The three units are going to work together. What I'm seeing now, and what a lot of teachers are seeing now, is it feels like the only people who are accountable is the school. Johnny can walk on the ceiling. You call his mother. Well, what did you do to make Johnny walk on the ceiling? Well, lady, come get Johnny. So it is that breakdown of the units that has changed.
I want to get your take on why there's been this breakdown in just a moment. I want to let listeners know who I'm speaking with right now. It's the Metro on WDET. I'm Robin Vincent, and my guest is Shirley Brezzell. She's a teacher at Detroit's Mackenzie Elementary Middle School. She was recently honored by the Michigan Science Teacher Association. We're discussing what she's learned in her profession and the advice she has for early career teachers, especially as Michigan continues to lose thousands of teachers. Is this one of the reasons that Michigan is losing thousands of teachers, because of this breakdown that you are experiencing, that you've just discussed? And it is one where you're not seeing families working with schools. Say more about that.
Well, I don't want to say that it is all schools, but a lot of them. Okay, the parents have changed parenting. They want to be their child's friend, that they're their buddy. I've had conversations where the student is there and the parent is there, and the child is talking to their mother as if they are peers. That level of respect of an adult doesn't seem to be there anymore. Everybody's buddies. So then they come to school, and here I am, an adult in the classroom who is demanding that you respect me as an adult, and this is something that is foreign to them, okay? But I think also we're losing teachers because the teacher preparation program that I went through was right here at Wayne State. Woohoo, go Warriors. The test that I took to get certified is nothing like this test that people are taking now. They're failing this test over and over and over. And what we know in education is if I give 30 kids the test and 20 of them fail it, I didn't teach it, okay? Or there's something wrong with the test. So I guess on my way out, I can say the state of Michigan needs to change the test.
How does it need to change things more broadly? So, I mean, you're saying, and this was something that we touched on briefly earlier in our discussion, and that is that things need to change to make it easier for teachers to enter the profession.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they need to dumb down the test. I think they need to change how it's being given or how it's written. several teachers, young teachers, have come to me and say, I just can't pass the test. Can't pass the test. They're teaching every day. As long-term subs, just cannot pass that test.
What do you do? What's your advice to them?
I don't know, because I don't know what this test looks like. It doesn't look like anything I took. From what I'm hearing, it doesn't look like anything I took. Years ago, you had to take just to get into your education program, and then there was a state certification test that you took based on where you're going to be teaching. You know, are you elementary? Are you special ed? Are you math? Blah, blah, blah. Secondary. But now, it just listening to them, they can't seem to pass the test for their specialties. So if I wanted to be a secondary science teacher, there would be a science test that I would have to pass. I can teach all subjects through 5th grade with the certification that I have. Okay, it's just a general certification, but the new tests seem to be different. I've, obviously not seen a test in forever, so.
And are we talking about people who want to be teachers in Detroit specifically?
Oh, absolutely.
So, I'm asking you that because, as we mentioned, you received an award from the Michigan Science Teachers Association. You're the 2026 Elementary School Science Teacher of the Year. Earlier, I was talking with Sasha Ryan, who was hosting Morning Edition, and she said, yeah, wow, there's a real significance to a Detroit teacher winning this award. And I wonder if you could talk about what you think the significance is of a Detroit teacher getting this award.
Well, I don't want to diminish any teacher in the state, but if you're teaching in Detroit, you are working double time. I do things for my students that my other teachers in other districts don't even think about. Detroit is unique in that Detroit, has different pockets.
Yeah.
And based on that pocket will determine what your school population is like. I'm at McKenzie. We're on the border of Detroit and Dearborn. We seem to have students from all over the city. We seem to have students, we are totally a Title I building, okay? Free and reduced lunch.
Mostly all the students are receiving it, is what you're saying.
Right.
Free or reduced lunches. Okay.
Right. And to be recognized for all that we do is just significant. It was myself and Miss Sabin from Cass Tech, just blown away. I want to talk about the garden just a little bit.
We must get into the garden because this is one of the more interesting things that you've done as a teacher is managing your school's garden. So tell me about that. What inspired you?
Okay, so Michigan State has a program or had a research program called Teaching Science Outdoors, the Urban Project. And so I joined that group. And as I did that, I'm looking around Mackenzie's property. They have this beautiful, beautiful property, but it was bare. So American Forestry was coming through, and we put in 65 trees on the property. And at the same time, Whole Kids Foundation gave me a grant, and we revitalized the garden. We have a 60-foot hoop house and 10, 12 garden beds. My outdoor project turned into the garden. But then I started looking at what my students eat for lunch. Okay, Takis, pop, regardless of what the school is offering. And I said, these babies need to learn how to eat real food. So we're going to grow real food. But then they would go home for the summer, right? I could harvest food all summer long and pass it out to the families. But if you don't know how to eat it, you don't know what to do with it. So what? And then a lot of the students wouldn't be there for summer. So my wonderful daughter, Amanda, that you all know.
Amanda Brezzell.
Yes, from Finnegan's Farms.
That's right. A friend of the show.
Yes. In her undergrad, thought about a project for refugees and that they could make portable gardens that they could take with them as they transfer or move from place to place. So I said, well, why can't we do that here? So I got those 69-cent recyclable Walmart bags. We grew everything in the classroom from seed. Then we transplanted them, put them out in the hoop house. Once a year, we have a program or an event called an evening in the garden. The families come. The students take home their garden in a bag, but their parents have an opportunity to create 2 more garden bags. So they'll have tomatoes, cucumbers, greens, or whatever. They take them home, put them in a sunny spot, and they have produce all summer. And if they have to move, and many of our parents move every year, they just pick up their garden and take them with them.
I mean, this goes back to something that is really an overarching theme of this conversation, and it is you as a teacher in Detroit, you're very holistic in how you're approaching your students. You're looking at the whole child, and you're figuring out how you can improve their lives. And then you're also asking questions about what it's like when they go home, or let's say they have to move. As we know, housing insecurity is a big issue in Detroit, but also food insecurity is as well. Mm-hmm. So you've taken all of these truths and incorporated them into the work that you do as a teacher. My last question for you, students are a lot more distracted than they used to be. We know that, especially with everyone having a cell phone in their pocket and social media. Do you think we should be experimenting with more hands-on projects to engage them and keep their attention?
Oh, absolutely. With Teaching Science Outdoor, the urban project, we were also researching or practicing place-based education. Hands-on, let's go outside, let's get dirty, let's go look at the sky, let's look at the birds, absolutely everything. We need to put away some of this technology, pick up a pencil and some paper, and go back to writing. They need to think. We have stopped students from thinking. I was watching, I don't know, probably something on Facebook that was talking about how our students are getting less and less intelligent because they don't have to think if they're on technology. All they got to do is press buttons. So
this work that you're doing, engaging students, it gives you the thing that you have craved as a teacher, which is that light bulb moment. Mm-hmm. Shirley Brezzell is a science and social studies teacher at Detroit's Mackenzie Elementary Middle School. Shirley, thank you so much for joining us on the Metro and walking us into your classroom, and congratulations again on your award.
Thank you so much.
It's the Metro on WDET. I'm Robin Vincent. Up next, smartphones can be very addictive, as we've been discussing. We'll speak with a state lawmaker about what he's doing to keep them away from students' hands, from the classroom to the legislature. That's next.